Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all very well. Welcome to the Citizen channel. We have a big match preview today, and it is a big match, isn't it? It's probably our biggest match of the season at the moment. Last few years, even take away any Champions League games we may have progressed in, but yeah, this has become our big game, isn't it? This is the one now. Manchester City versus Liverpool, of course. Premier League, Sunday, 8th of November, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. Premier League game 7. I think it's Liverpool's 8, isn't it? I think they played one more game than us. Yeah, please join me today. We'll have our usual features, including a look at the opponents. Liverpool, the history boys, a little bit of history about us and Liverpool, not too much. I don't want to bore you too if you're not really into your history, but just a little bit of information. The odds on the game with my free just for fun bets. Let's hope my success continues. We're doing quite well this season so far. Regular City magazine features, of course. And of course, we've got You Are the Ref, aren't you, Mr. Trevillion? Who can forget? I forgot my card. Oh, don't give me the answer there. Yeah, Kip Trevillion, and of course Keith Hackett's game. You Are the Ref. So we've got a little question on that. Only 2 options today, so you got a 50-50 chance today. So please join me for that. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that subscribe button, push the bell notifications. I'm aiming for 500. It's not much, is it, compared to some of the other guys on YouTube? I'm aiming for 500 by Christmas 2020, and I'm 60-odd-ish early, about 61, 62 as I'm doing this. I mean, things doing, obviously, you lose subscribers in your game all the time. So, but as I'm doing this, about 60-ish, I'm short of 500. So please, if you're not subbed already, do so. And please, if you can point someone else in my direction, that'd be wonderful. Tell your City supporting friends if you can. The more the merrier. That's absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you're into film and TV, please check my playlist. I have my little film and TV channel as well, where I do reviews of films and TV dramas, etc., and quizzes and all sorts of things. So please check that out. Or if you know someone who might be interested, please point them in my direction. And all comments are welcome, please. I love the comments. I know you're out there. I love anything you have to say on what we say today, or anything to do with City. It doesn't really matter. And of course, if you haven't got time to comment, if you can do us a thumbs up, please, that'll be absolutely fantastic. So I know that you're there. Right, here we go. You are the ref. Here's the question this week. Let's see. Right, I'll have to get a bit close up of this one now. Only 2 answers, don't forget, you've only got a 50-50 chance. This is an interesting one this week. In the 89th minute, the goalkeeper makes a stunning penalty save, catching the ball and clasping it to his chest. Before he can get up, he is mobbed by his teammates, and on embracing him, one of them touches the ball with his hand. The opposing captain points at him, screaming handball. Penalty. What do you do? Yeah, so you've obviously celebrating with your goalie there, and he's one of the players actually touched the ball, so it's handball in the box. So do you award a penalty kick, or do you just say to the opponent's captain, no, I'm sorry, we'll just play on? So what do you think? It's 50-50 that one, but it's quite an interesting one, that, isn't it? I did find that interesting. He had another option on the card, which was take no action, but I mean, isn't that the same play on? So anyway, I mean, there you go. You got 2 options with that one. I'll give you the answer at the end anyway. That'll be absolutely fantastic. Right, Liverpool. Last time we met at the Etihad, it wasn't that long ago, was it? It was just after the COVID, and we had the Brewgate, didn't we? We had Mr. Bernardo cause a bit of consternation with the Liverpool fans. I mean, I've no doubt if we ever get crowds back in the grounds again, there'll be a little booing for Mr. Well, they're always booing for us anyway, aren't they? But a little bit higher for Mr. Bernardo Silva, that's for sure. Because we had the Brewgate, didn't we? We had the fantastic image of him having all his cup of tea when we did the Guard of Honour for Liverpool, who came to the Etihad as champions, of course, last time we played them. But we want them, didn't we? We absolutely want them. 4-0, fantastic game. But yeah, I must admit, you've got to laugh at that Brewgate, haven't you? As I say, we do know Liverpool will hold a grudge, and even if it's 5 years down the line when there's crowds back in the grounds, I mean, no doubt, Mr. Bernardo, if he's still with us, hopefully he will be. We'll still get a little bit of stick. I think he got a little bit of stick at the time. Yeah, the lineup that day. If you look at the lineup that day to what perhaps it might be tomorrow, Ederson, Walker, Garcia, Laporte, Mendy. Well, he won't be there tomorrow, will he? I don't think Garcia will be there tomorrow. Rodri, Gundogan, KDB, Foden, Jesus and Sterling. That was the 11 last time we played him. Yeah, we had a very whingy, moany moany guy there. I've got an image on the screen. I couldn't split them, to be honest with you. I didn't know which was which. But yeah, we had a very whingy, moany Klopp that day. Obviously, there's a lot of pundits saying, because of course we won 4-0 in the end, there's a lot of pundits saying that obviously they were already on the beach after having won the league. But obviously Mr. Klopp was having a whinge about various things, so it's not like him, is it, to have a gripe and a moan about stuff. But yeah, by half-time we were 3-0 up with a KDB penalty. Sterling, Foden, of course, scored, and then Sterling, there's a good one there, goal against Liverpool. And then in the second half, a shot from Sterling was going wide, but Mr. Chamberlain turned it into his own net. So just to round things off. And I think Mr. Mahrez scored a last-minute goal, and it should have been 5-0, but I think KDB, it touched his hand in the build-up, although the rules have changed, haven't they, since with VAR, so it probably would have stood now. Obviously, it didn't stand. We always seem to miss out on these things, don't we? Yeah, surprising enough, the sort of man of the match that day, certainly my man of the match and most people's, was Mr. Phil Foden. Had turned in a fantastic performance. So when I do my lineup in a moment, I do expect Mr. Foden to be in there. Yeah, my score, I've got a score prediction, but obviously I'll give you that later when we look at the odds side of it, the match odds, etc, etc. So my suggested lineup for tomorrow, I'm going positive tomorrow. Hopefully Pep will put 9 or 10 of these players in tomorrow. This, obviously, I'm not sure any injuries that we've picked up. I think we're all right. But my suggested lineup tomorrow: Ederson, Walker, Laporte, Diaz, Cancelo, Rodri, KDB, Foden, Mahrez, I've put him in, Torres and Sterling. I think that's what, because Mahrez had quite a good game against Liverpool last time. So I think I'll be quite happy with 9 or 10 out of that one. I don't think there's much dispute to that, is there? Who would you put in that I haven't put in? Let me know in the comments what you think anyway. I just don't really... I think Gundogan's been playing quite well, but if Rodri's playing, I don't want the pivot. I don't want the pivot there, so hopefully that'll be the team. Let me know what you think anyway in your comments. Yeah, history-wise... in the History Boys section now, yeah, at the Etihad Main Road and Hyde Road. Obviously, we've played them 84 times in history. That's quite a lot, isn't it? And we're actually ahead now. Last 2 or 3 seasons, we've pushed ahead on the wins and losses. So we've actually won 31, drawn 23, and lost 27. Lost 30, sorry. So we've won 31, drawn 23 and lost 30. So we've just edged ahead on the victories with 127 goals for and 122 against. Quite close. If you look back in history, our biggest home win was in 1935-36. A couple of the players' images on screen there of Mr. Toseland. Scored 2 of those goals. Heel scored 2 of the goals. A certain Mr. Busby scored, and also a gentleman called Hurd scored the 6 goals. So that was our biggest home win ever, 6-0. Might do that tomorrow. You might do that on Sunday. We don't know, do we? And our biggest loss, well, we'll have a talk. I'll just have a mention of that now. Our biggest loss was back in 1981-82, where I was there that day, the 10th of April, 1982. Oof, yeah, 5-0. 5-0 at home. I mean, we did suffer a lot of losses in those days. It would normally be 3 or 4-0, something like that. But that 5-0 was, in the history of bad results against Liverpool, that certainly one of the worst. Certainly is the worst I can remember, because I was there in the 40,112 crowd. We did have crowds of those, and at that time, 81-82, we were only second. We were second only to United in average attendances. At that stage, I think us and Liverpool were quite close crowd-wise, but we were slightly edged it. So yeah, so another good 40,000 plus crowd. Liverpool were top on goal difference when they came to visit us. This is a programme, and you've probably seen it on the screen as well. Obviously, it's the season after the FA Cup defeat at Tottenham, wasn't it? Mr. Bond was still there. We were doing okay. Liverpool were top on goal difference from Ipswich. John Bond's City we were in an okay 8th, weren't they? 10 points behind them. But most pundits said this was the game that sort of put in their mind that Liverpool will go on and win the title. The City team was embarrassed that day on that's a very sunny Main Road. The pitch was okay, looked a bit looked a bit dry. Corrigan, Ranson, McDonald, Reed, Bond, Caton, Ryan. That's John Ryan. I always have to pinch myself because I do not ever remember John. Must have watched him many times, but he's not a guy I remember. John Ryan. I think it's John Ryan. I might have his name wrong. It might be Jim Ryan, but I think it's John Ryan. Reeves, Kinsey, Hartford, and Wilson. Yeah, it was a disappointing display by City. We had one cracking great move in the second half where we passed the ball really well. And it fell to Kevin Reeves, a diving header from about 10 yards out, and he somehow managed to head it over the bar with Grobler. Grobler wouldn't have had a chance. As long as he hadn't headed it at Grobler, it would have been a goal, and it would have made it 2-1 at the time. We were actually 2-0 down, and that would have perhaps put a different slant on it for the second half. But that would have put a different slant on it at 2-0. But obviously, it could have made it 1-2. Obviously, could have made it 2-1 to Liverpool. Obviously, at that stage. And that was one of the only highlights really for City in that game. Liverpool scored with Samuel, a fantastic free kick. If you do wish to see this, it is on YouTube. It was on Match of the Day, so you can about a 20-minute highlights of this game on Match of the Day. So if you can suffer, or you want to suffer that, or you're a Liverpool fan watching this and you want to relive another glorious victory at Main Road, Samuel, a fantastic 35-yard free kick that had Mr. Corrigan clutching at air. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a brilliant goal. A Phil Neal penalty after a great tackle by Caton on Rush was Tommy Caton on Ian Rush was classed as a foul by the referee. I don't know, not sure of the referee. He wasn't someone I was familiar with obviously at the time. But it was a great tackle, but obviously for some reason he gave a penalty, and obviously they scored from the penalty. Johnston scored a third. Alan Kennedy scored in the second half with a cross-come goal. I think he was aiming to cross it, ended up beating Big Joe in the far corner. And Ian Rush actually added to it. He had a great game, Ian Rush, and made it 5-0 as well. And don't forget, this was the season that City had gone to Anfield and won 3-1. Now, I think this is probably the last time we beat them, is it? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I'd missed that Boxing Day game at Liverpool, but we'd actually beat them 3-1 at Boxing Day. With 9 of that team played, I think Trevor Francis was banned. I think he was banned at the time, to be honest with you. He wasn't injured, which is unusual. But 9 of that 11 played at Anfield, and we beat them 3-1, so there you go. But obviously Liverpool had a great run since that. It stung them into action, and they got on a fantastic run, winning, I think, 13 from 15 games or something like that, which was quite remarkable in those days. It's not like now when we've had our great runs. In those days that was quite unusual. Yeah, so you can catch up with that on YouTube if you want to watch that. Yeah, so not the greatest of days at Main Road for you if you like me were there, unfortunately, to witness that. But there were more defeats, but not quite as bad as that one. That was terrible. How are they doing this season? Well, after 7 games, surprise, they now actually sit top. I think Everton had a brief spell, didn't they? But they're now top of the division. They won 5, drawn 1, and lost 1. And even before the loss of their talisman, Dick Van Dijk, they were not convincing, doing enough again but they were just about doing enough to win games, weren't they? A few teams could have got points off them, but again, similar to a lot of last season, they were getting through. And of course, that standout was the 7-2 loss away at Villa Park to Aston Villa, wasn't it? And we could do with doing a similar thing tomorrow. Yeah, my brief thoughts on the game. I think the 4-0 win flattered us just a little last season. Yeah, it was not that long ago, was it? I think we were worth the win in the end. Don't get me wrong, but there was some poor finishing by Liverpool initially, and Mane particularly had a very poor game, and he was certainly to blame, perhaps from. And I think Salah missed something as well. I think they were they could have had a 1 or 2 goal lead before we took the lead from the penalty spot. And we were very clinical that day as well. The percentage shots on target and goals was quite high from City. So we're going to have to do a little bit more, aren't we, of that tomorrow? Because Jesus had a bit of a nightmare that day. He was terrible. He got pulled off in the second half, because hooked, if you like, in the second half. He was having a terrible day. But the rest of the team performed admirably. against Liverpool, and especially Sterling, obviously, which is great. He got on the score sheet, and as I say, he was denied a second goal because it was going wide when Chamberlain turned it in. But he had one of his better days against his old paymaster. So even though he's not quite hit form again, he's not been too bad the last couple of games, has he? So hopefully he can do the same again. It is early in the season, isn't it? But it has become a sort of must-win already, isn't it? This early in the season, if we do lose this, we'll be 8 points behind. Okay, with a game in hand, but we have to put a marker out, don't we? I think to this. So we have to do it, and to Liverpool and the other Premier League teams to start making us fear us again. There's been a lot of positivity in the last couple of weeks the way City have been playing, but I think we need an emphatic display tomorrow before the international break, before we go on that. I think that's very important. And if we win this, I do expect us to come back from the international break. Injuries allowing to carry on a good run. And I even will believe, even me that was negative saying we'd finish second, even I would believe that a title tilt is possible as well, because I think we can go on from there, to be honest with you. I mean, I know, but if we lose on Sunday, then obviously all the old doubts will resurface, won't they, with Pep and the fans and the team. So that's going to happen, is it? So let's hope for a good win, or a win and a good win on Sunday. Right. What do you think anyway? Put your score predictions down and there. I'll give you my score now in the odds. Right, gambling, the odds. Please, I don't condone gambling, and please, if the fun stop, and in no way ever, please, only ever gamble what you can afford. And gamble responsibly. I think that's one of the taglines, isn't it? Yeah, so last week against Olympiacos, I had the correct score. I had a point on 3-0 at 15-2. I also had 5 points on both teams to score no. So I put no, and obviously they didn't score, so I had 5 on that. So overall, we were 9.5 points up on the day. So obviously that was fantastic, and overall on the season, we're doing quite well on that this season. But as I said, I've never earned money from football gambling in my life, even though I may have done on the horse racing in many, many years ago. So please, it's just a bit of fun. And these are just to give you an idea. If you fancy yourself, let me know what you're going to have a bet on. Right, to win the Premier League, that before we go on to the match, City 11-8 favourites now, because of a Mr. Van Dijk not... I only called him Dick jokingly before I know his real name, but Mr. Van Dijk not playing. So they're 11-8 City to win. Liverpool, you can get 2-1 now on Liverpool to win the title. So if you fancy Liverpool still to retain that title, 2-1, good odds. Right, the match odds. City to win, you can get evens. You can get evens on City to win tomorrow. So I've had 5 points on that. There's my first bet. That's great. I mean, it's not very often we get evens or odds against on City. So I'll have that. I'll have some of that. 5 points on that. Don't let me down, City. Liverpool are 12-5, and it's 16-5 the draw. First goal scorers. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Jesus, Sterling and Salah are all 9-2. Mane's 13-2. Let's hope he can't hit a barn door like he couldn't last season. KDB's 7-1. That's quite tempting. Mahrez 15-2. Jota, who's obviously scored a hat-trick against Atalanta, didn't he, midweek? So he's 8-1. Foden 17-2, Torres 10-1. So that's an interesting one as well, with form Torres is in. Both teams to score, yes, is 4-9. I think that's a bit mean on odds. So, and no is 2-1. So even the bookies are quite sure that both teams are going to score tomorrow. I won't dispute that. And obviously the correct scores now: 1-1 is 17-2, a 2-2 is 12-1. But if you look at a 2-1 victory for City, which obviously is a bit pessimistic in my eyes. Hopefully we can manage another goal or two. Is 9-1. So I'm going to go have a point on that, like I did last time. I'm going to split me 2 points on this one. A 2-1 Liverpool win is 13-1. That's not a bad price if you fancy Liverpool. 3-1 City win is 14-1. So I'm going to have my second point on that as well. So I'm going to have a point on 2-1 and a point on 3-1. So 3-1's 14-1. 1-0 City win is 14-1. A 2-0 is 14-1. A 1-0 Liverpool win, if you fancied that, 18-1. If you wanted the same as the last game between us, 4-0, you can get 45-1 on City winning 4-0. Half-time, full-time, City, 9-4. A draw and City is 9-2. Liverpool is 9-2. A draw is 13-2. A draw and Liverpool is 8-1. City in a draw is 14-1, and Liverpool in a draw is 14-1 also. So that just shows how tight the odds are there. And my last bet will be on the anytime goal scorer. I mean, you've got the ever, you got the obvious ones, Jesus, Sterling and Salah again 6-4, Mane 13-8, but you got KDB 7-4, so anytime goal scorer, a chance of a penalty perhaps like last season. So I'm going to go for that. I'm going to go 2 points on KDB at 7-4. You've also got Mahrez at 11-5, Foden at 12-5, and Torres at 13-5. If you fancy any of them to score at any time tomorrow. The under-over market, over 2.5 is 1-2 on. Over 3.5 is 11-10. So, yeah, they've got to score more than 3 between. It's possible. 11-10 is not a bad price if you fancied that. And to win by 1 goal, City are... To win by 1 goal, City are 3-1, Liverpool are 9-2. To win by 2 goals, City are 5-1. So obviously I've a chance that. I could have had a go at that one. Liverpool are 9-1. And to win by 3 goals, so 4-1, 5-2, 3-0. City are 8-1 and Liverpool 22-1. So there's some good odds there. Let me know what you're doing anyway on the odds. As I say, you've seen the odds, my best bets anyway. And let me know, think what you're doing. Right, our little City magazine feature. Yeah, my lad. Obviously, you can see the shirt over in the Paisley shirt. My lad did a great. My dad, yeah, going back a bit there. Yeah, so my lad's sort of colour coordinated one of his guitars this week, or he's got a guitar with the colour. It's a lovely match. That is. I think that's great. That it's got a lot of likes out there on the social media world. So I think that's a great look. I think that's fantastic. You could perhaps colour in a little bit of sky blue somewhere as well, make it even better. Yeah, congratulations, of course, to the City girls and boys for bringing back the respective FA Cups. I mean, something we couldn't achieve, is it? We'll have another chance, obviously, this season. But I really did think we'd have a chance of bringing that back last season. But at least the lads and the girls have brought back their respective FA trophies. Anyway, that's fantastic. Yeah, and there was a little bit of worry. Someone was asking about Brian Kidd, because we don't see him much, do we? But obviously, with this COVID situation, I think he keeps quite pretty much a back seat and a low profile. I think he has attended a couple of games, but you don't see him as much as you used to. So, and obviously people see him walking his dog in Heaton Park, so that some people commented he's fine. He's just obviously, because of the COVID and his age, he's sort of keeping him to the back, which is fantastic. I mean, that's all we needed, wasn't it, on the top of Colin Bellamy in hospital? That was a worry, and now obviously with Brian Kidd. So that was fantastic to hear. Right, on Twitter, yeah, at XG Philosophy. Yeah, I mean, obviously stats are stats, aren't they? I mean, I'm okay with stats. I think they're quite informative sometimes, but there's an interesting stat, wasn't it? And it's very early days this season to do it, but it was just the actual scale of the stat, really. The Manchester City's XG per game. If you know what the XG is, I just went on to just get the what it stands for. Measures the quality of a shot based on several variables such as assist type, shot angle and distance from goal, whether it was a headed shot and whether it was defined as a big chance. So the expected goals, I think we see it on Match of the Day, don't we? And it always confused me what it was. But if you look at Man City's XG per game for the season, so 16-17 it was 2.15, 17-18 it was 2.42, 18-19 it was 2.49, and 19-20 it was 2.71. So that was absolutely climbing all the time. But then the stat for 2021, again, it means very little this early in the season, doesn't it? But it's 1.57. I mean, we don't need to see it. We know we're not scoring goals. We don't particularly need to see that stat. But it was interesting anyway. I mean, just from a stat point of view, because I do like my stats, and as you know, so that was just quite interesting to see, wasn't it? So as I say, it means very little this early in the season, but yeah, I'd rather that anyway. As long as we've got a strong defence and we can win games 1-0, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I'm still playing entertaining football, even though we're not putting 4 and 5 past teams. So I can live with that. I'm sure you can as well. Considering also not just that, the fact we've had no strikers, but we've had no strikers for the first few games either. So that's bound to happen. I don't think we've had that problem in the other seasons. We've always had strikers missing, etc. So anyway, that was an interesting stat I thought from that. People, you want to give them a follow if you think that's interesting sort of stuff. Yeah, Walker, Foden and Sterling have been pronounced into the England squad, which is absolutely fantastic, although I don't really watch much of England. Do you watch much of England? I don't really. If it's a big game, I'll watch it, but I don't really get involved that much, and I don't really get disappointed if they get beat, to be honest with you. City's my team as far as football's concerned. I don't really care that much about England. Yeah, and 14, that's 14 Manchester City youngsters have been called up for the England junior squads, obviously training camps or even games for the November international break. And this includes for the under-20 squad, Tommy Doyle, Taylor Howard-Bellis and Nathaniel Ogbeta have been named in the under-20 squad, who are coached by former City under-18s boss, of course, Lee Carsley. They're assembling a special training camp at St George's Park, so that's great. Good luck to all the lads, all the guys, the old ones and the young ones. And if you're a fan of We're Not Really Here, which is on the City channel, obviously pre-match, during the match and after the match, the guests this week are Sean Wright-Phillips, Richard Dunn and Ali Benarbia. There's a great guest lineup, isn't it? You can tell we're playing a big team. They all probably said, can they come on, you know, because we're playing Liverpool and we wanted to be there. So that'll be great to watch. And City's Carabao Cup quarter-final tie away at Arsenal. We owe them one, don't we? Will take place now on the 22nd of December. Kick-off at the Emirates will be 8 p.m. So we won't be going down, but there you go. So just to get them beat before Christmas. That'd be a nice Christmas present, won't it, to get through to our cup. It's our cup, isn't it, the Carabao Cup? As I said, that's our cup, innit? So, yeah, we should be beating them there. Right, you are the ref, the answer. There we go. Did you get it? Well, here we go, obviously. So, yeah, a penalty. And obviously, as the goalkeeper said, it's not unusual for his teammates to congratulate him. But obviously, the opposing captain noticed that one of the players touched the ball. So it's handball in the box. Surely it's got to be a penalty, hasn't it? Surely it's got to be a penalty. No, it isn't. No. It's not. Answer is B. No, play on. So there you go. Yeah, I would have got that totally wrong. I thought it's a penalty. At the end of it, I don't care what the excuse is. If that player's touched the ball with his hand, surely it's a penalty. But hey, there you go. Answer is to play on. It's obviously the referee's decision. Play on. There you go. Did you get that right or wrong? I don't know. So, they do amuse me, some of these questions and answers, because they're so weird. And I thought, you think you know everything, don't you, about reffing and when you watch football, but until you see things in black and white. Yeah, play on. So, yeah, I would have given the penalty. Could I give the penalty? I mean, surely it's up to the referee to decide, isn't it? But perhaps he gets told off then later on. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this little match preview, the big match preview of the game against Liverpool, which is at the Etihad on Sunday. Please check out some of my recent Citizen channel vlogs, including a couple of where I've reviewed a couple of hard copy match programmes. I've looked at Wolves and Leeds games, had a quick look and given them a score out of 10 for my yearly programme ranking, etc. And of course, West Ham, a look at the West Ham one will be out soon, and I've now got the Sheffield United one, so I'll be looking at that as well. And please, on my Moments in Time special, there's a look back to November 1990. Yeah, a gentleman called Howard Kendall deserted us, didn't he? He went back to his true love or whatever he was. So I've done a little look back on that with newspaper clippings and what was happening at the time. So please have a look at my Moments in Time, which is out there on the playlist. So please check that out. I'll put it in my playlist on the links for this as well. Fantastic. Please check my links on screen. If you follow or friend me on Facebook and Twitter, I do check every couple of days and follow and friend everyone back. And please, if you can check out my day job, well, I've got 2 day jobs. I've got to, I need 2 jobs to pay the bills at the moment. But if you can check out my little website that I've had for many years, moviegamenostalgia.com, for old rare DVDs, movie posters from the 90s and 2000s and board games on there as well. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And please check the playlist. Lots of City stuff on there during this latest COVID lockdown. So you want quizzes and stuff. And of course, there will be There'll be one of them out on Monday as well, which will cover obviously the last 2 games are Olympiacos and Liverpool games. So please catch up with the other one I've done as well for the Sheffield United game and some other team we played. I can't even remember now who we played, but there's quizzes on there as well if you're looking for something to do during this most recent lockdown. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Whatever you're going to do with your rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family. More important, look after each other. Until we meet again, please stay safe, blues. We're saying goodbye for now.